So changing out the radiator today, I'm starting to drain the existing radiator. You can see it kind of dripped down there, and all I did was pull out the drain plug. Hey, what's up everyone? So today I'm changing out the radiator. As you can see, I've already spent the time of just kind of taking off the front bumper and removing the radiator. So I'm in the process of just getting ready to install everything. The removal was pretty simple. I can walk you through kind of what that looks like. I pretty much drained the coolant at the bottom here, and then I took off the bolts from the front frame or front brace where the hood latch is, so you can see it kind of resting up here. And the other thing I did was just kind of take out the box so I can have easy access to the front upper radiator hose, and pretty much it just lifts right out. And so you can see the radiator here. I took off these front bolts to lift out the fan, and pulled out the fans first, then pulled out the radiator. Kind of just kept the lower radiator hose with the radiator itself. And then you can see here I've already taken out through the 3 bolts for the thermostat. It's 10 millimeters each. These are what the bolts look like, and they just fit in right here. I'm gonna reuse the bolts, but the thermostat is what I'll be replacing while I'm replacing the radiator. So this is the Honda thermostat. It's just connected like this, pointed down, and you can see those are where the 3 bolts connect. So once I took that out, more coolant kind of rushed right out here, and so we're pretty much ready to install. You can see the upper radiator hose here. Just pulled that out, more fluid came out, but that's the upper radiator hose. We don't need that. We're going to replace that as well. And so moving back over. All right, so we're right back at where my bench is. So you can see what I have to replace today. And so we have the lower radiator hose here. These are silicone tubings. I think they're silicone. And then this is the upper radiator hose. So it's going to be in this direction here. So I picked up 2 of these from Mishimoto for the RSX, so they're molded to fit it as well. The other thing I picked up from Mishimoto is a thermostat switch. It's actually just a Mishimoto fan switch, so it's going to be right on the fan. And most people just buy a Mishimoto radiator, and you can use the existing OEM fans. I've done that before in my old RSX, and what I'm going to do is actually just change out it with I'm going to try out something new. I'm going to try the Mishimoto fans as well. So you can see, I'm going to move this around, but the last part I have to replace is an OEM thermostat. So here's the part number, 19301 PNA 003. Kind of as mentioned, I'm going to use the OEM bolts, but we're going to use a new kind of radiator, and it comes with the gasket, as you can see here. We just need to fit it around right before install. See if I can fit it around this ring area here. Yeah, it just fits like that. Pretty simple. And I think it's just going to press against it and expand. So that should just keep some of the coolant out. But we'll put it back in this bag for now, and then we'll look at that later. All right. So mentioning it before, these are the 2 boxes of the radiator and the radiator fan that I got when I purchased it. It comes exactly like this. There's no other box on the outside. They slap a shipping label on top, and that's pretty much it. And right over here, you can see what it is. It's the Brad RSX-02. So it's the Acura RSX 2002 to 2006 radiator. So it works for kind of all the RSX years. And it comes with this kind of black and bright orange lettering. And we're just gonna take off those straps there. And so this is the radiator box. So it's much wider than the radiator fans. And if I slide this back to show you guys, so this is the Fan Shroud Kit, so MMFS RSX-202, and so it's the fan kit that works for, again, all the years for the RSX. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up and then see kind of what we have. Unboxed everything, showed you a quick time lapse of what kind of all the packaging looks like. I've ripped out all the plastic and just kind of took it out to like pretty much what the product is. They do give you these brochures, the Mishimoto Guide to Performance Cooling, shows you kind of all the things they have, aluminum radiators, cooler kits, intakes, and then coolant. And then the other thing is this program rewards. I guess if you buy more things, they'll give you stuff. And they give you this penguin looking, air freshener, and it gives you that too. So that's the radiator. So if you look really closely here, this is pretty much it. So you have this over here, which I think is the coolant drain plug, right? And so you can see there's a little gasket there, and the OEM one is plastic and this one is metal, and you'll have to use, you can't use your hand, but you can probably use a little socket, but I think the rubber itself should just kind of hold it in place. And then over here, I think this is one of those plugs where you just throw away, because what's going to replace it is the radiator switch itself. And so that is going to be this Mishimoto one here. So the fan switch for the Honda Civic and Integra. And so we're going to put that, install it here. The other things to notice is these are the guides that just kind of sit where your radiator stays are. Same for above here. I'll go ahead and close this up and then tip this over so we can see the top. So here's the top side. This is what we'll be looking at after it's installed. But they give you a Mishimoto radiator cap. It's at 1.3. You couldn't replace this with like any other radiator cap. I think it's like, for spoon, it's like radiator cap size D or maybe F. I can't remember, but one of those. I can check up on it. And then you stick the hose back in the reservoir here. And then this is where the upper goes, and then the black thing down there is where the lower goes. And so that's what it's gonna look like. We need to get the fans on, and I think these little holes here are for the fan bolts. And if you go on this side, this is me kind of opening up the fan kit, the Fan Shroud Kit. Same guides over here, a little brochure, a little rewards program. No instructions, so you're not gonna get any instructions for installing this, which is actually kind of what I wanted, but we'll see if this is pretty straightforward. Looks like they give us new hardware instead of using the old one for the fan kit. So these are 4 bolts, and I think we could just use that. They give us double-sided tape. I guess we're gonna double-side tape kind of this radiator fan shroud to the radiator. I'm not sure yet. I'll have to look. They give you an air freshener, and then if I move this on the side, this is what we have. So we have 2 fan clips, one on each side, that powers the different fans, and so that's gonna have to hook up to the wiring harness. And what we have here is, bringing it forward, we have the serial number, the Mishimoto warranty, for this fans, and that's it. I'm assuming that these holes here go into where we're supposed to mount the new radiator. And then we don't just have bolts, but we also have washers, and we only have 2 of those. And so I think the 2 bolts go there, and then this one goes directly into the radiator itself. So we're back at the radiator. I have the Mishimoto fan switch. We're gonna open it up right here, and we're gonna take it out of this little foam casing. And the first thing we're gonna do is, zooming out, right over here on the bottom where the radiator hose is, we're gonna take that metal clip S, and we're just gonna take this one, just kind of insert it and see if it spins. And it spins perfect, so it's definitely for the fan switch. And we're just gonna take an open wrench and just tighten it, just to make sure it's hand tight. We can go ahead and adjust this later, but we're gonna start it here and then go from there. We're just gonna lightly fit everything. Now we're gonna take the radiator fan itself, and what I'm doing is I'm just gonna lay it down first. And as I think it's gonna go, see it right there? It goes on these 2 holes and it fits. Now, they do give us this double-sided tape. They don't tell what it's for. Honestly, I don't really feel comfortable putting double-sided tape on 2 aluminum surfaces. You know, I think, like, especially a radiator, it's gonna melt. So, if you guys know what the double-sided tape is for, let me know. I'm gonna try putting it on and installing it without. If I run into trouble, then I'll go from there, but I think I'm just gonna go with this setup here. And then we have these bolts. So let me open it up and see what we have. So these are the bolts here. We have these 2 kind of larger ones here. We have these 2 small ones. And then we have these 2, I guess, they're not crush washers, but they're like, they put a little pressure. I think those fit the small ones. And then these 2 fit the big ones, and then these 2 washers to go together. These large ones go together, and then these small ones go together. Okay, so let's put the small ones down first, and we're probably going to be using these big ones. So I think it's going to be as simple as, we have these washers, these crush washers here. They're going to go first into these bolts, and for adjustment purposes, we're going to put the bolts on the bottom, because that's probably where we're going to be able to see where the car is. And then we're going to take this crush, or this kind of like the one that gets smaller or tightens up as you kind of get through. We're going to put that first, then we're going to put the nut on it. So bolt, washer, then the second one, and that. I think that's how we're going to go at it. So moving closer here, we're going to insert the bolt with the washer in first. Then we're going to put this one in there. And then we're going to take the nut right up top. And I think that's how we're going to do it for this one. And then we're going to tighten it, and if we ever have to make adjustments, we'll just put a little wrench up top and take the Allen wrench and go through there from the bottom of the car, because I think that's just how it's going to work. Zooming out, going back to the top, we'll follow the same procedure, and this time we'll take these little small ones, put the washer first, and I think this time we'll just put this one up top here, so we'll just put all of them on it at the same time, and we're just going to insert it. And it looks like it spins really easily, so we're not stripping any threads. And there you have it. That section's there. We're gonna move over, and we're gonna do the same. And we'll check if it's spinning easily, and it is. So we're not gonna run into any trouble there. And it looks like that's how we mount it. So a little recap, we put the Mishimoto hardware on it here, and then we put the fan switch there, and then these will probably just mount into the new harness, or these are into the existing engine wiring harness where the coolant fans go. This will go into the engine harness as well, and that's it. So we just need to kind of torque these down or tighten them just so they stay kind of snug and fit. So we're going to install the thermostat right now, and so all we need to do is just kind of wipe down the surface a little bit. Just using a microfiber. You remember earlier I had a brand new thermostat, and we've already placed the gasket here, so I think as we put it in, it's just gotta crush against the surface and it should work. And we have these 3 bolts here, and so we're going to start by just putting the thermostat in place, and I have 1 bolt just securing the thermostat right now. What I'm going to do is as you can see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the bolts on there, and then we're going to tighten it after. So we've gotten the 3rd bolt on, and so all we need to do is slowly hand tighten kind of everything in place. So over at the radiator, the fan switch is recommended at 17 foot-pounds. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten it at that spec. And it's pretty much tight. All right, so we're pretty much ready to install the Mishimoto. I've already put the radiator hoses kind of on it, so I'm just gonna drop it in and go from there. What we've done is we've kind of loosened the AC condenser and pushed it out a little bit, so it gives us like maybe about 1/2 inch of clearance. And now we're just kind of lowering the radiator, which it does work. And we just need to reuse these kind of radiator bumps. It goes kind of directly underneath where the radiator will sit on the chassis itself. And so I just gotta make sure it's resting on those bolts, and it does. And that's pretty much it. So all we have to do now is just kind of, what I've done is just kind of push the AC condenser back. All right, so I've pretty much installed the radiator hoses. So you can see upper radiator hose connected to the Mishimoto radiator, and it leads into this kind of upper kind of hose area. And then down there you can see that the thermostat's connected to the lower radiator hose, and right over in the bottom the same thing. I've went ahead and clipped the fan switches, and all I need to do is put this kind of front brace back and we should be good to go with the install. All right, so we're pretty much done with the installation. I've temporarily hooked up the battery. The headlight I had to take out just to kind of get some clearance, but there's the radiator. It's installed, and all we need to do is just kind of fill it up with coolant, check for leaks, and see if we did a good job. So we have the car on and we're bleeding the system. So we just have the car on with the radiator cap open, and you can see all those bubbles there as it kind of just pops out. So air is just kind of getting released from the engine right now. And we're just gonna let it keep going until all the air bubbles go out. But we're pretty much done with the video. I checked on the bottom, there's really no leaks so far, and I'll just keep checking as we kind of move along. Thanks everyone.